Hello, I'm Roxanne Garcia with News Talk 710 KURV, and joining me is Vicente Gonzalez. He's a Democratic nominee for Congressional District 15. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you for having me today.
First question, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your just history?
Yes. Well, I'm a lifelong South Texan. I'm a lawyer. I've been practicing law for almost 2 decades. I've been a business owner most of my adult life. And I live in McAllen. My wife's a school teacher and administrator, so we have the education background within our family. And I'm now a candidate for Congressional District 15.
What made you decide to become a lawyer?
Well, that's a different one. I thought you were going to ask me to run for Congress. I was always impressed with the law and folks in our community who practice law, and it was always a goal of mine. And when I finished law school, I applied to law school, and when I finished college, I applied to law school and moved up to Dallas and finished law school and took the bar and practiced there for a little while before returning back to South Texas, and been living here in McAllen for almost 2 decades.
Yeah. So now the other question to follow up is, what made you decide to become or run for Congress after becoming a lawyer?
I like to become. Well, you know, I've been fighting in the boardroom and I've been fighting in the courtroom, and I've represented thousands of families here in South Texas very successfully in the courtroom, and I think I could take that same fight to Washington to assure that we get the resources that we deserve as a region for our area up in Washington. And I want to take these talents and my work ethic to Washington and our value system up there, let them know who we are. I hope to bring a lot of members down here to visit our area and get to know us. And to get our fair share of the American pie. You
mentioned resources right now. Can you elaborate on what resources you'd want to bring to the Rio Grande Valley?
Well, education is very important. We need to find ways for our college graduates to not come out overburdened with debt. And you know, we've forgiven the banks, and we're not forgiving our kids that are graduating with this overburdened debt. Our veterans still don't have a hospital, and they still don't have the health care we need down here in our region. Particularly, they're having to travel to San Antonio. So those are important resources that I think we need. Our seniors are having their Medicare cut at a higher rate than ever in history, so they're getting less care than they were just a few years ago. And these are important resources that I want to bring to our area and make sure that our seniors can live a dignified life, and our students can go to college and not worry about debt while they're there, and take care of our veterans. It's always been a priority of mine.
Yeah. Is there any role congressmen can play when it comes to combating corruption in the Rio Grande Valley? A lot of times we hear that there's just been a lot of corruption in the valley. A lot of our politicians have played a role somehow. Is there any way, or what would you do in Washington to help combat that?
Well, I intend to work closely with the Department of Justice. And find and investigate folks who are doing the wrong things. And one of the things that I got ridiculed the most for in my campaign was funding my own campaign, mostly funding my own campaign. And I always said, well, that's what makes me uncorruptible. And it certainly resonated with folks in our community. And we've got good results. But I think working with our Department of Justice, working with our state law enforcement agencies, monitoring folks who are in public office, and make sure that they respect the office that they were elected to.
You've been in Washington a lot lately. What do you think people in Washington think of the Rio Grande Valley, and how can you help change their perspective on what the valley is?
That's interesting. I mean, they see the news just the way we do, and they read, unfortunately, some negative things about our region. And I think the best way that they can change that perception is by inviting them down and let them get to know the good people in the valley and the people that have made this area prosper and do well. Our educational system is doing better than the state average. We have great universities and colleges. And I think bringing them down and having them get to know us in our region, I think will change a lot of perceptions.
Can you give our viewers a sense of priorities and what you would change whenever you go to, or if you go to, Washington, D.C.?
Well, priorities is certainly taking care of our seniors. As I said, making sure that they get a Social Security increase every year so they can live a dignified life, that they get the health care that they've paid into their entire life. These aren't freebies. This is Medicare that was taken from your income, from your check every week, and now it's time to get the care that you deserve. We need to take care of our veterans, assure that they have the health care here in the valley, and that they have good jobs waiting for them when they come home. We need to make sure our kids can go have a fully funded pre-K program and Head Start for our young children, and make sure our high school graduates can go to college and graduate debt-free or with very little debt, not come out overburdened with high interest loans like I did. and find ways to make our region better and more prosperous.
How can your background and what you do as a lawyer help you in Washington, D.C.?
That's a good question. Well, as a lawyer, I was, I trained in negotiation in Harvard after law school, and I've negotiated thousands of deals, and I believe that negotiation is a very important talent to have in Washington, to negotiate and reach across the aisle with folks that don't see things the way you do, and try to reach an agreement and a resolution that benefits our area.
Any last words you want to give our viewers as to why they should vote for you this November?
Well, I'm the only candidate that lives and pays taxes in our district. This is the only area that I know and love, and I intend to go to Washington with an honest heart and hard-working attitude to produce for our area. I think it's important to remember that we need to go out and vote. We're almost, I think we're 20 days away from early voting. We have 10 days of early voting on November 8th. This is very likely one of the most important elections in our lifetime, just because of the political climate that we're living nationwide and even here in Texas. So I certainly ask everyone to come out and cast your vote November 8th.
Thank you so much. That's Vicente Gonzalez. He's running as a Democratic candidate for Congressional District 15 here in the Rio Grande Valley. I'm Roxanne Garcia, News Talk 710 KURV.